Okay, here we are. We're doing a live video thing. So, the title of this video is I'm pretty sure I have Paracentral Scotoma. For those of you who don't know, my name is Steve, and the wife and I, we ended up selling everything in the United States, put stuff in a couple of suitcases, and we retired here in South Korea. So yeah, that's been kind of huge in and of itself because it's a big change for both of us. Even though my wife was a Korean citizen, she became an American citizen. We came back to Korea on F4 and F1 visas. And yeah, we've been enjoying being retired, going to the gym, working out, checking out places, which is kind of fun, seeing coffee shops and started to go see attractions now that everything is settled. And there was an interruption because it ends up that I started having vision problems with my right eye. And so if you look it up and you do a Google, you'll see that there is a thing called a scotoma, which there's an obstruction in your field of view, and it can be, there's a number of things that it's caused by, but basically what happens is you have your eyeball and then the light comes through the lens of your cornea and then it hits, on the optic nerve and all the nerve endings there. And then the nerves take that information, goes up to the brain pan, your computer, and makes and tells you and say, hey, this is a picture of a tree, this is a picture of a dog, this is, whatever you're seeing is, your brain interprets that and takes the information and boom, you're able to see. Well, with a scotoma, what happens is that the nerve endings are kind of broken, or there's some misinformation, or there's a physical defect or some other problem is associated. And kind of, I guess the simplest way to explain it is that if you're looking on a computer monitor or you're looking on your smartphone and your display is made of pixels, little dots and colors will change, and eventually you get the picture of what you see of me. Sorry for that. But when you have dead pixels, that means that the information is not being translated or transmitted properly or processed properly, whatever it is. And so you have dead pixels on your display screen or the screen of your phone. So that's basically what's happening with a scotoma as far as I can tell. Now, I've had this for a while, but I kind of thought that maybe it was one of my nightmares I had with PTSD and I smacked myself or I scratched my eye or whatever it was. I started getting some cloudy vision in my right eye. And I thought, well, because that's happened before, and maybe I rubbed it too hard when I was sleeping or whatever. But that cloudiness wasn't going away, and I noticed there was a loss of field of vision, and it kind of seemed like a gray filter at the time. So there's different types of scotomas. There's like scintillating, where it kind of goes off and on. And sometimes those are come with migraine headaches, in which I do have migraine headaches thanks to Uncle Sam and PTSD and some other things. Thank you. Due to my service and accidents that happened during those times. There's other things that can happen to cause scotomas, and there's different, so there's the scintillating one, there's one that is in your center field of view. So if I can see everything right here, and if the scotoma is in the center field of view, it's kind of like a dark gray circle, and you can't see through it. It's kind of like a gray filter, and it's in the center of your field of view and your vision. The one that I think I have is a paracentral scotoma, which that is kind of off to the side. It's not in the center, and so in my right eye, it kind of covers, from here over. So if I try to look at my nose, close this eye, and I look at my nose, I can't see it because there's this gray kind of filter, I guess is the best way to put it. But if I close this eye and look at my nose, I can actually see my nose. So there is this loss of field of view. So if I'm looking straight at you, probably from about here over is a gray circle. And then of course, from about here to everything else, all the way out to my peripheral vision, is normal vision, just a little bit cloudy. So yeah, I ended up having to make a doctor's appointment because I am 56 and I learned my lesson by putting things off is not a good idea to do them later. It's better to do them sooner than later. So I scheduled an appointment with Samsung Medical Center up in Seoul. So we ended up yesterday jumping in a taxi, getting on a train. It was about 20 minutes later, boom, we're up there. Then there was a free shuttle going from that train station to Samsung Medical Center. We went to the annex and saw the International Health Office. I'm covered by TRICARE Overseas Select, which is always good. Had to pay for some tests, doing the copay. And then, did a number of tests, saw the ophthalmologist, and says, that's what it looks like. I said, from what I found on the interwebs, that's what I think it is this paracentral scotoma. And she's like, but we need to find out and do some more testing. It wasn't conclusive. For the testing that they did yesterday, I do not have glaucoma. So that's a benefit there. My eyes are healthy. But we still need to find out the reason of why I have dead pixels in my field of view, is basically what it comes down to. So I've got another appointment on, when is it? The 30th of this month to go down. I'll do another vision test, which will test my field of view. I guess it's more specific for scotomas. And then I'm also going to get a head MRI. So that's going to be fun, because the last MRI I got was when I was in the United States in Colorado, and I wasn't as big as I am now. So getting inside that MRI machine and being crunched up is going to be interesting, because I wasn't as big as I am now. So I don't know if MRI machines are standard opening is kind of worldwide. But the last one I was in was kind of interesting, because it ends up I was kind of snug in that MRI machine when I got my back done. So on the 30th of this month, go back, do those two tests, and hopefully, and it might be a dye contrast MRI. So in other words, they'll do an IV and then they'll put a dye, and then that way they can better see the blood vessels and arteries and veins and whatever else is that they track by doing that MRI of my head. So we got that going on. Other possible problems, macular degeneration, other things that are brought up. You get old, injury, which I haven't injured myself as far as I know, so I don't know if it's an injury. Like I said, maybe I scratched my eye or something. Other possible problems are the retina's detaching from the eye. Sometimes that can be corrected with surgery, so we don't know if that's the case yet. Other things, possible problems or possible diagnosis is because of MS or, like I said, glaucoma, but that's been ruled out, or stroke. But I haven't had any episodes where it's like, I don't think I've had a stroke. Nothing that says, stands out as stroke. So we'll see what happens. But I just wanted to give an update on what's going on as far as medical and our journey, because that's what the Buried Life channel is for, is kind of documenting our journey and what's going on. And it's kind of interesting. As far as like Samsung Medical Center, it is huge. And when we got there, it was very different than going to a hospital in the United States. Like, I've been in a hospital at Fort Carson, Colorado. I've been at other hospitals, civilian hospitals. I've been to Tripler Medical Center, which is a hospital on Oahu. I've been there. But Samsung Medical Center was insane. The amount of people that were there to be seen by doctors, it was crazy. It reminded me of being inside Seoul train station during rush hour. That's how many people it was. It was, and both the wife and I were kind of overwhelmed. It was, our anxiety went up. It's like, holy crap, what the, it's a ton of people. So the good thing is that Samsung Medical Center is probably one of the top 3 hospitals in Korea, but it's really busy. I think they have a staff, I looked it up, I think it was like over 7,000 staff, 2,400 doctors or 1,200 doctors, something like that, some insane amounts. And then the number of patients that they can see is just phenomenal. And by the amount of people that showed up, the crowds that were, like I said, it was like a busy train station during rush hour. It's just crazy, so different than the United States. But it was crowded but efficient. So in other words, it's like, well, here I go to the International Health Office where they have English-speaking staff, and of course they're going to take my TRICARE Overseas Select. And boom, here's where you need to go for your appointment, for this eye appointment, and then from there you go to this next appointment and the next appointment, and then then you see the ophthalmologist, and then they make a determination on what the next step is. And for me is another eye test and a head MRI with contrast. So yeah, that's what we got going on. Pretty efficient, crowded. From what I've seen in Korea, I've been to the hospital that's in Pyeongtaek, Good Morning Hospital, which didn't have a lot of English-speaking staff, and so my wife has been vitally important to going to that hospital. Had to get some blood tests and some other stuff done. So, but it seems real cookie cutter. So it's kind of like by the numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, here's the steps, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, whatever. Kind of lockstep, this is what we do, this is how we do it, and boom. It's kind of different than what we see in the United States, or what we experienced in the United States. So, yeah, it's kind of a culture shock thing when it comes to medical. So we'll see how that goes. But I just want to give an update on what we've got going on here in Korea. You can hear kids screaming. There's a playground nearby our apartment. We've got the windows open because it's nice. But yeah, that's what we got going on. So if any of you know, or you've had a scotoma, whether it's in the central field division or it's a paracentral scotoma, whether it's scintillating or not, or whatever, if you've experienced this loss of vision because of this thing that we're talking about here, and you have experience with it, put it in the comment section down below. Like I said, there's other reasons as to why scotomas can happen. Another one is MS, glaucoma, stroke, macular degeneration, and so on and so forth. So that's a little concerning. Other times they just don't know why they're there. Some of them come and go. Again, the human body is littered with so many different interacting components and parts. People get mad at doctors in the medical community because it's like, well, why don't you understand why this is happening? And it's like, there's a lot of moving parts. So, it is what it is. Yeah. So, yeah, hopefully we'll get an answer to this, and we'll get, if there is a bigger problem down the road, hopefully that can be fixed or prevented from becoming an even larger problem down the road. But until then, we're going to continue doing our normal stuff. Got the next appointment is on the 30th of this month, and then after that we'll have another appointment with the ophthalmologist to kind of go over the results of the MRI and the other tests and so on and so forth. So yeah, just want to give an update on what we got going on here in Korea as we're retired in the varied life. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to stay updated. We'll see what happens, and we'll take it from there. So, Lord willing, we'll see you on the next video. Take care, God bless. We'll see you. Peace. All right, that's going to be it. That's what we got going on. All right, see ya. Yep, end the video.